What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the Hardwood Convos podcast here on the 515 Podcast Network. I'm Brock Bierman, alongside, as always, Dawson, Livingston, and Hunter Rose, giving you guys a Tuesday episode here as we are getting ready for Thanksgiving week. We wanted to get this episode out early so you guys can listen to it wherever you're going for Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving week, buddy. Guys, gonna be some great NBA's promoting like Black Friday basketball, which is a interesting thing that I haven't seen in the past. It seems like the NFL kind of dominates the week. But how are you guys doing? As always, college football is winding down. The NFL playoffs are closer than people realize, and I know that your two teams are definitely battling for position in the playoffs, while I'm just kind of chilling, waiting for a specific headline to appear. I'm not going to say which one, but that you can find out more about that on the Between the Hashes podcast. But how are you guys doing?
Doing better than I was a week ago. Another win for the Chiefs, moved 6-5. But Cavs they're trucking along.
How are they doing right now?
They lost tonight, but that's okay. It's okay. I like it when Lonzo Ball shoots 14 times, makes only 3. I mean, that just makes my day.
I mean, you don't have to watch Luka Garza play for your basketball team, but
I wish I could watch Luka Garza every night, man.
I'll give you Luka Garza for Donovan Mitchell straight up in that case.
See, I won't do that. I don't like Luka that much.
How much do you want him?
Chris Livingston.
Supposed top 25 college basketball player of the decade or something like that. Wasn't he in there? Did you guys see that list?
I think so, yeah.
No. I'm glad I didn't.
Gross.
Disgusting.
Yeah, honestly.
Dude, can even make it to the Sweet 16.
Go Ducks.
Hey.
Okay. But Hunter, how are
no
you doing?
No cyberbullying to start this episode, all right? Leave this. Give it like 5-10 minutes. Not the first 2.5.
No. Hunter's doing okay. Like Brock said, Packers. I also want a headline to hit the Packers. Yeah, let's go. Skull, guys. Come on. Shout out Evan Williams. But yeah, I'm kind of ready for a different headline for the Packers, to be honest, even after a win, which I'm not on that podcast, so I don't have to say anything about that. But basketball-wise, I mean, Clones got a great win in Vegas today. So that's a positive for
they look. We'll see what Taman Lipsey's injury is, but
I was scared about Joshua Jefferson. That fall looked like that hurt, but
nothing worse than falling on your butt. It literally is like the worst pain because you literally like can't do anything about that.
Yeah,
it's not a surgery thing or it's a hurt. You're gonna just be sitting on some cushions.
But NBA wise, Giannis is out, so that means basketball is not fun because that means Kuzma and Bobby buckets, and those don't happen very often. So
we just call him Bobby Bucket, not plural,
literally. But it also, I mean, I could probably talk about this for forever, but it's also just not fun to watch when Milwaukee is just officiated differently from every other team in the league. So when you're playing the very known big basketball organization of the Portland Trailblazers, and the free throw discrepancy at halftime is 21-4. I have a hard time believing the NBA is not pushing a certain agenda against a team with a superstar that supposedly wants out for an entire year. So
I mean, we can talk about that at some point in this episode for sure. But let's hit our good, bad, and ugly segment here. This is the segment where we just kind of talk about things that we have seen within the NBA, whether it's headlines, sightings, plays, player performances, team performances, whatever it may be. A good thing that we've seen, a bad thing that we've seen, and then just plain ugly. So, Dawson, do you want to kick us off here? You were talking about Lonzo shooting 14 threes. I don't know if that's something that you want to add, but
no, I won't talk about that, but I can start it off. Good. Jalen Johnson has just been quietly, not even quietly anymore. He's just been balling out for the Atlanta Hawks. Had a triple-double, I think, was a game or two ago. And on the season, he's averaging nearly a double-double, 7 assists as well, 2 steals. Like, he's been the Hawks' best player with Trae Young being out so far, him only playing 5 games on the year. But Jalen Johnson has just been playing really good basketball for the Hawks, and it's kind of kept him afloat. They're sitting at 5th right now in the Eastern Conference, and it's given some Hawks fans some reasons to still have faith in this season at this point. The bad, the Charlotte Hornets, just the last week and a half, 2 weeks, dropping their last 6. The rumors of LaMelo Ball potentially wanting out. It's just not a good look for this franchise. Knuppel, though, kind of a bright spot. He's averaging 19 points a game. Been one of the better rookies we've had this year. He's playing really well, but the Hornets as a whole, just the last week and a half, 2 weeks, have not been something to write home about. And then I think this was one of our uglies last week, but it needs to be harped on. The LA Clippers as a whole. I think this was Hunter's ugly last time, but it's just an absolute mess for the Clippers right now. Chris Paul officially announced that he's going to retire after this year, and when you look at his numbers for this season, they're just like putrid. No, and this is a shame because Chris Paul is an all-time point guard. He's averaging 2.5 points, like 4 assists. Not really shooting the ball very well, only shooting 28% from the floor, 28% from 3. Just kind of feels like a waste of Chris Paul's last year, and a year that we all want Chris Paul to potentially win an NBA chip, and for him to be kind of rotting on the bench for the LA Clippers is certainly not good for both the Clippers and him. But yeah, that's my good and bad and the ugly this week.
Man, the Clippers have, like, we all kind of felt like, I guess I don't want to speak for everybody, but I feel like we talked a couple of times, like we felt like this team could be actually really good because of the experience and the age and just the talent that they had. They didn't have to be the all-stars and the MVPs that they were when they were once in their prime. They had enough talent to honestly potentially be a contender, and they are nowhere near that. I will say James Harden's playing really well. That's the one bright spot for them really this year. Kawhi hasn't played in half of the games still, which what's new with that? But yeah, the Chris Paul announcement of the retirement, we'll get into that a little bit, I think, later. We can probably talk about that just because we have some people on this podcast that love Chris Paul, so we'll definitely hit on that. But I definitely agree that they've been one of the bigger disappointments for sure in the NBA, especially from the standpoint of I personally didn't really see this coming versus like other disappointments of this year where it's like, yeah, like one of the disappointments me personally is the Celtics fans. The Celtics haven't been playing good at all this year, but like I felt like everybody expected that this year going into the season where they didn't have Jason Tatum. They kind of cleared house with a lot of the players that were key contributors to that NBA championship run, or at least just the run over the last decade. But this one with the Clippers, I did not expect it. I don't know about you, Hunter.
I definitely thought I was probably the highest on them out of the three of us, and they have looked awful, like beyond awful. And yeah, kind of like Dawson said, especially, when you have some old guys that are not even just bad numbers, but just even handful of, DNPs is not a good look. So very unfortunate, but my good though, overall, and this is kind of a season long one, even that I am shocked I actually haven't brought up, but most improved player, Ryan Rollins. All right. Put some respect on him now. He's been the second leading scorer on this Bucks team, right behind Giannis. Well, not right behind. There's a bit of a gap, but he's behind Giannis, roughly about 19 a game, especially in the midst of Kevin Porter Jr. being out has been very, very big for the Bucks, at least as much as it can be. But shooting at a very efficient 50 and 43, which is very, very nice. And especially, looking at a guy that just a season ago, there were definitely some really, really, really cool moments after the Bucks acquired him. And especially with, former point guard Damian Lillard being gone now. We needed somebody to step up, and especially even with, like I said, KPJ being out, he very much has done that. My bad is gonna be to be honest, it's gonna be a bad because it's not really ugly. But the Minnesota Timberwolves just look weird. They had a really, really, really bad loss to Phoenix, I believe in the last NBA Cup game. I'm pretty sure it's an NBA Cup game at least. But they had like a 6-point lead, and due credit to Phoenix. I had them as like completely missing everything playoff wise, and they are sitting at 6th in the West right now, which is pretty surprising. But nonetheless, like, this is a team that Minnesota should be able to take care of business with, and they absolutely just flopped, like just lost it at the end of the game. And Anthony Edwards in particular having a couple of pretty crucial missed free throws that allowed Phoenix to go back down and hit a dagger for the win. But something just seems weird with that team, which is also odd because Julius Randle honestly has not been that bad at all. I think he's actually looked pretty good. But there's just been some other things on the team, like, whether it's Terrence Shannon Jr., Rob Dillingham, that especially, or even honestly, like, unfortunately, Naz Reid, which is very weird to say because we love Naz hoops. But just not performing up to standard of what we've kind of hopefully have come to expect in the Timberwolves. I know each of us, even before the season started, thought that this roster looked a little funky, but I definitely thought they're going to be better. And my ugly, and I'm sure we'll talk about it more later on an episode, maybe after Brock goes over his, but anybody that's not a basketball fan from the state of Oklahoma is ugly, because things are looking spooky for the next year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, basically until Wemby can ascend to another level once again.
He's hurt.
Yeah. So we are purged of any form of happiness if you're not an Oklahoma City Thunder fan. But yeah, that's my good, bad, and ugly for this past week or so.
Yeah, it's rough right now being an NBA fan, where it's like, is the next decade already over? But yeah, I agree with yours. Good list there. The good for me would be, I mean, just if it's not, I don't like giving this team credit. The good for me would be how the Lakers are playing, man. They're
LeBron?
No.
LeBron?
No.
LeBron?
It has nothing to do with LeBron. It has everything to do with Luka.
I thought you were gonna say Jake Laravia.
No,
I thought you were gonna say newly acquired Drew Timmy.
Well, I asked before the show if we should make a graphic for Timmy this episode.
Yeah.
Timmy. Sorry. Didn't the Nets used to play a sound for him every time he entered?
I gotta find it now.
I'm sure they did.
Dawson, you can take over the screen and share it whenever you find it, because it is one of the best things ever. But these Lakers are playing really well, especially, like you guys mentioned it, since LeBron has started playing for them. I mean, they've only lost 4 games all year. I think they've only lost how many games since he's been back? I can't remember how many games he's played, but looking at Doncic and his numbers, man, dude is putting up like the last 4 wins. They're on a 4-game winning streak. He has led the team in points in 3 of those games, including a 41, a 37, and a 33-point game, while also, having almost a triple-double against Utah, 33, 11, and 8 in their last game. This team is looking really good. DeAndre Ayton's rebounding the basketball. actually like playing decent basketball, which who would have thought? Like a year and a half ago, I think a lot of people are like, his career's over in terms of like not being relevant in the NBA or being a player on a legitimate team. So that's shocking. Austin Reeves is proving that he can be a sharpshooter for an NBA championship contending team. And then, his numbers are definitely down. He's only played 2 games anyways. But so I'll give him that leeway. But LeBron, is still an asset to this team for sure. Is this the video? That's great. That's great. That's great. I hope the Lakers adopt that too. That would be great. And hey, dude, I know it's the G League, but you guys should, like, if you haven't seen Drew Timmy's highlights in the G League, or even when he was with the Nets, he had some good games with the Nets. This is not necessarily, I know we were making jokes, but like, this is not like just a signing, like just to add depth or whatever to sit on the bench. Like, he could contribute really. And I do think JJ Redick is a good coach. So I mean, maybe he can find a way to adapt him and put him into the roster. And him and Luka, if like that pick and roll game would be able to get together, who knows? But the Lakers are my good. The bad, I mean, it's been a while since this is a recent one anyway, so that doesn't matter. But it's been a while since we've done an episode. But the bad, me personally, Derek Queen's like late game steal against the Hawks, kind of like, I'm just, and maybe I'm like in the wrong for thinking this. I was just like, really, dude? I get the point of like playing until the final whistle or till the buzzer sounds, but like that rubbed me the wrong way a little bit personally, especially because your team is 2-15, by the way. Also allowed Porzingis to score 30 in that game. So like, I really don't think there's anything to like celebrate about getting an extra steal and a dunk. And then an ugly. Did you guys know that there's a team in Tennessee right now? And they have a player that a lot of people thought, I guess I should say, was going to be a future face of the league. And he is the face of the league for headlines that you don't want from a star player anymore. And for those that don't know, I'm referring to Ja Morant. Within the last 2 weeks since our last episode, Ja Morant is now on the trading block again, apparently. I don't know if there's actually any traction to that, or whether or not teams are calling or picking up the phone or making calls to Memphis for that. Also got in an altercation with Klay Thompson, and it's so interesting because it's actually got some NBA fans divided on the situation, because some people are doing recency bias where it's like Ja Morant's entering his prime. He's still a star player. Klay Thompson's a role player. And then you got the people that personally I side with, who are like, Ja Morant is not at the level that people thought he would be at. He's making headlines for all the wrong reasons anymore. And then you got Klay Thompson, who is a 4-time NBA champion, bona fide Hall of Famer, like going to be in the Hall of Fame, probably will be in it multiple times if the Pro Basketball Hall of Fame puts like the Warriors team that was with the Kevin Durant Warriors team that just dominated that entire season gets put in there. That you can compare where they're at right now and everything, but Klay Thompson, comparing the body of work of their careers right now, or even if you stopped where Klay Thompson, where Klay Thompson's career would have been, where Ja Morant is right now, it's not even like remotely close, I think, in terms of like what they've done, comparing each other. So the situation is really ugly, and I really wanted Ja Morant to be like one of the faces of the league, because I do think the NBA is in for a rude awakening when LeBron does retire, because there isn't like a star. Because you talked about the Oklahoma City Thunder being this dominant team for the next decade or so, but like Shea's not like he is a top 5 player and arguably top 3 player in the league easily, depending on who you talk to. But he doesn't have like the marketability for the NBA of what they want for their face of the league. And I feel like John Morant, his personality, he had the ability to be that player. Injuries, off the court issues, and just constant like headlines like this where he's getting in arguments with players, which he wasn't even playing. He was on the bench in street clothes. And so the ugly for me is just the Ja Morant saga going on in Memphis right now. And if he truly is on the trade block, it's going to be hard for teams to want to make a deal, because who knows what you're bringing on to your team. And it is a true thing in the NBA that one bad apple can ruin the bunch, and it can ruin a locker room pretty quickly, especially when you're knowing that you're taking a player that has the expectation of being a top player on your roster. So yeah, I guess we can go more in depth on this conversation a little bit. Where are you guys at with the current situation with Ja Morant in Memphis? Do you think the end is near with his time as a Grizzly? And if so, what's next for both the team and Ja Morant? What could they get in return for this? Still arguably a very, very good basketball player, but very controversial as well.
Hunter, do you want to start off with this one, or do you want me to go?
I can give my 2 cents. Yeah, I agree with you, Rock, because like I think the thing, like when we think about the Grizzlies from 2022, I think even 2021, I believe was that the first time they like had the play-in and whatnot, if I remember right, or was that 22? But basically since like from that point for the next couple of years, like the Grizzlies looked really, really good. They kind of had like, that was when Ja was still an up-and-coming star, and he looked phenomenal. In the past couple of years, there's been like some injury stuff just with the Grizzlies in general and with Morant, and then there obviously was some off the court things that were kind of blocking the way with him and his return. But I think especially like when you look just at the short time of like the past, this season and kind of even the end of last season, Taylor Jenkins had this change in his offensive style, where it was more focused on wanting to get everybody the ball. You had Jaren Jackson Jr., who obviously, like everybody knows, his defense is really good, but his offense was beginning to look better and better. They still had Desmond Bane, and so it made sense, especially as they were struggling with injuries, to have an offense that was more centered around the entire team and not just having one central player. And that obviously would, regardless of if you are humble or not humble, like it being the best player on the team, that probably would rub you off the wrong way a little bit. And so it would be sensible for Ja Morant, especially in a year where his numbers are dipping, and then having a coach change their offense, like kind of the philosophy on offense. And especially with the number of pick and rolls, because that's probably Ja Morant's bread and butter, is that high pick and roll where you can just get ahead of steam, get to the rack, right? And so the Grizzlies decided to let go of him, right? Because if our star player isn't happy, we should make a change, right? And so easily with the coach. And now this year, I'm not saying that their coach is phenomenal by any means, and they're not even running those pick and rolls as much as they were when Ja Morant was, a few years ago and a little bit younger, but they're running it more now. And the thing is they're still not getting the production. He's not putting up numbers. In fact, pretty sure this is his worst statistical year since probably his rookie season, I'd be willing to bet. If not, probably the season after. But I think that's the thing, is it's like, man, like you were entrusted essentially again with the keys of the offense, and you're not getting the same production. And I think the biggest thing And this is something that people have pointed out, specifically with DeAndre Ayton, who is obviously now doing better, being in LA. But a lot of times where you see the biggest kind of fall with a lot of these players that are regarded as like the future of the league or the future of like this position or a future all-star or potential MVP is that they don't evolve their game. Their game doesn't change. When you're one of the best players in the league, you have to constantly be changing and being just better in general. And the easiest thing to point out with Ja Morant is that he's never been known for being a shooter, and especially in a league where you have to be able to shoot the ball or you have to be Giannis Antetokounmpo, and he's done neither of those things. In fact, he's still gotten worse at finishing. It's dipped even more this past year. And even like shots in the paint, just in general, not even with layups, but just getting down low and putting up even short little bunnies, and they're still not falling. And so I with all the drama that's ensued and the way in which his performance has not been as good, like Brock, you kind of bring up the question of like who would be interested, who should be picking up the phone, and it's like not saying there's no team out there that the name Ja Morant doesn't mean anything, but what do you even give up? Like, what even is his value at this point to actually be like, who are we willing to actually give up in order to get him, and how low at this point? And probably the question all the way up until the trade deadline or whenever he is traded is just like, how low are the Grizzlies willing to go even in the first place? Because you're not going to probably get the same value that he had easily 2 years ago even.
Yeah, this is a weird one. You mentioned it, Hunter. Yeah, this is the fewest points per game he's averaged since his rookie year. Only by a tenth of a point, too. So he's basically the lowest points per game of his career. His points per game have gone down every single year of his career since his third year in the league. Gone from 27 to 26, 25, 23, and this year almost to 18 points per game. His shooting percentages are going down. Like this year, he's taking 16 shots a game. He's only making 6, shooting 36% from the floor. Don't even get me started on his 3-point numbers. It's 17% on the year. Like, just is not playing well. Granted, he's only played 12 games, and who knows if those numbers will go up or down or what's going to go on with that. But it's tough because Memphis has a lot of players that are, like, intriguing. Like, Jaren Jackson Jr. is a good player. Their rookie, Cedric Coward, is really playing well for the assets they had to give up to get him. He's been balling out this year. He's averaging 14 points a game. So that's a big surprise for Memphis. And Memphis is just a team that drafts really well. Like, they hit on the draft picks Jalen Wells last year, who played well for him. And then Vince Williams Jr., was it the year before? He's been a rotational guy for him. They bring in a guy like Cam Spencer to give him solid minutes off the bench from the Warriors. Like, the Grizzlies can find these, like, diamond in the rough players that no one is paying too much attention to, which I think makes it easier to move off a guy like Ja when you have your foundation of a team already set. And they have all those draft picks from the Desmond Bane trade coming in the next few years. They will have flexibility in the salary-wise, not having Ja's contract on the books and really only having Jaren's big contract on the whole roster. This team is just, I don't know. They have pieces that I think are super intriguing. Like, we've only seen 4 games of Zach Edey, and Edey actually played pretty solid for him last year. It's just, there's this giant fork in the road moment for this franchise. It's like, what do you do with a guy that we arguably thought was going to be the face of the league, like probably 2 or 3 years ago, was the number 2 overall seed, lost in the first round, and it's just been downhill ever since, like Hunter mentioned. But I tried to even list out some teams, but it's like I couldn't even get to like more than 1 or 2. Like, I looked at the odds, it says like Sacramento, but Sacramento is just, I don't want to talk Kings basketball.
That should be all you need to know about Ja Morant at this point.
Exactly.
If your top destination is Sacramento, things are not looking good for you.
What about Miami?
If I'm Miami, I don't do it.
Yeah. So that's the other team. Another team I was thinking about has been like Toronto, because they like Emmanuel Quickley's their point guard, and like all props to Emmanuel Quickly. He's not exactly a guy I would think of for a point guard. For how they're playing, similar to like what Dawson mentioned with Heat, like why would they do that? Like, there's no reason to do that, and especially because they already aren't one of the best shooting teams in the league either. Like
Yeah.
you are willingly bringing in someone that's 6'2" and can't shoot the basketball beyond 20 feet.
And can't defend.
Then
Yeah.
it's like who can you like find that like fits with what he's doing? Like Minnesota, like you can
That
pair up
that one makes some sense to me.
because of the
Like,
fast-paced style that they play.
but
Mhm.
I don't know. Because
But
then
also,
I don't know. Because
but
then you have
like,
him and Ann as your team leaders. No offense to either of them, but I don't know.
what are you talking about? Rudy Gobert.
Well, I would assume Gobert's got to be in a trade for. I'm sure that contract and Ja's contract
Oh
have
yeah,
to be
that's a good
involved.
point.
That's and then I think the thing that's weird too is like if you do that, I think the reason that Morant would also make sense to Minnesota, it's like Dawson mentioned, like he's not a defender. Like that's just not what he's known for. You would have to find a way to keep Gobert to be able to lock down that paint, or else
Yeah.
you're gonna become the worst defensive team in the league.
So
And
You
it won't even be close.
would have to send a lot of role players. Because I don't think you can do a John Morant trade. Again, this might sound crazy, but I don't think you can do a John Morant trade that involves Rudy Gobert or Julius Randle, really, because like if you get rid of one of those two, I think it does ruin a lot of what the Timberwolves do have right now.
So then the package that you're probably talking is like Nas Reed and like Dillingham. But even then, I wouldn't want to do that if I'm Minnesota.
Yeah.
Because I believe Dillingham, he might not be the same kind of player that Ja is. Like he might never get to that peak that Ja was at. But Dillingham's still under team control on a cheap deal for the next two or 3 years. And Nas Reed has been a Minnesota staple since he got drafted to the Timberwolves or signed to the Timberwolves like 8 years ago. So I don't know why you would trade him either.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe you could throw in Jaden McDaniels there and move Edwards over to that 3 spot. I don't know. It's
Anthony Davis for John Morant. Who says no?
I mean, the Mavericks are looking for a point guard.
Ugly trade.
The thing is like that wouldn't happen because there's no way because of the Jaren Jackson.
Yeah, you'd have to put Anthony Davis at the 5, and he is very publicly stated that is not his preference.
The only other team that I could realistically think of, and you guys tell me if this makes any sense at all, this team just has not had point guard play since like the dawn of time. If the Magic could somehow, I know they used a lot of their pieces already with Memphis and get Bane. Why not go revisit Memphis? Be like, yo, let's just bring back the Grizzlies backcourt and give it a shot because Memphis point guard play is horrid right now. That, or if you just want to ship them off to a bad team for assets like the Nets, that could be kind of fun. But I don't know.
This dude really out here acting like Orlando didn't have Penny Hardaway.
Well, that was before we were born. Come on.
Well, okay, then don't disrespect my boy Jameer Nelson.
Okay. All right. On me.
No, I that's not bad. It's just I don't know what the packet. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Is like this is one of the more interesting trade rumors because it's like you don't really know what the package would be because you don't know. Because if I'm a team, I'm telling you got to actually give us a discount. Just given everything that we've seen, because we know that we're taking on someone that we're going to have to work with to be able to get this to work. Because there are some trades where it's like these guys just want to be on a different team. And maybe that's the case. Maybe he's just really trying anything to get out of Memphis right now. And he'll be fine after he gets traded. But like, that's not what other teams see. I don't know.
Yeah. It's just super weird. And I hate to keep dogging on the NBA, like that CBA they just negotiated like a couple years ago. But that CBA is the reason why we're not going to see like crazy superstar trades the next year or two.
Thank you, CJ.
Yeah.
Because
there's even been NBA players that have like talked down on it a little bit. It seems.
it limits teams so much that are already up against the cap. Like, I think once you're over the first apron, you can't like consolidate like 4 players into one giant contract, and you can't trade draft picks like in consecutive years and stuff like that. Like, there's silly rules that is eliminating teams from like truly going all in. Because I feel like, again, Minnesota, that's a sneaky destination that could maybe work for both sides, assuming you don't have to get rid of your entire farm if you're Minnesota to make this deal happen. But the CBA just makes everything that much more difficult when it comes to trading and signing for players.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. This is just a rough situation, and I feel bad for Memphis because honestly, they do have a really loyal fan base. Like when they're good, like we've seen some of their playoff crowds, and it's really fun. Especially because they're a small market team, and like when they have like Charlotte does not have a following whatsoever. So like small market teams that actually do have somewhat of a fan following, it's great to see. And it just sucks that, they finally get this opportunity to build something and it seems like it's going to fall apart quicker than it got put together because egos, I guess, but everybody has an ego. Some are bigger than others, and I guess maybe that's what we're seeing right now. I don't know. Maybe they'll figure it out and all of a sudden they turn everything around and become a team that could make a deep playoff run. Who knows? But I guess, yeah, if this time next year, do you see John Morant being a Grizzly?
No. But then again, I couldn't tell you the team he's going to be on.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think the again, I don't think I almost don't want to mention this because I don't think it's necessarily completely 100% fair, and I think there are times where a lot of people use this against him and other players as well. But you're looking at a guy who's 26 years old and has had 42 fines and 3 suspensions in his career already. That is not something that NBA GMs are necessarily thrilled about bringing in at any point. And it's just unfortunate more than anything, to be honest.
Yes. Again, like the best ability is availability, and he's only played over 60 games, which is like, granted, I'm not an NBA player, so I don't know how difficult it is to play that many games. He's only played over 60 games 3 times in his entire career out of 7 seasons. So, and he's had multiple seasons of under 15. Well, I guess he had the one season he missed all of 2023, 2024 due to suspension and injury. But yeah, GMs want you on the court, and through this part of his career, we just haven't gotten that consistency from Ja. So,
well, we'll see what comes of of it. We'll definitely make a post as well as probably a video or something if he actually does get traded for whatever reason. But as of right now, he is sitting on the bench. I don't think he played tonight for the Grizzlies, so we'll see where that goes from here. There's an never mind. We've talked about enough about John Morant. Chris Paul did announce, as mentioned, that he is retiring after this season, marking an end of arguably the greatest point guard of all time to enter and play in the NBA at the position of what a point guard was supposed to be originally, and then adapted and actually became a really good scorer as well as his career went on. I know for us, because we grew up with Chris Paul, he'll go down as probably all 3 of us one of our favorite players to watch. Those Clippers teams, when they were in their peak, were really fun to watch. Really, the downfall of those teams was, you mentioned the best ability is availability, and injuries just kept piling up for those teams, especially, I can't remember which year it was, but I think the Warriors just got eliminated from the playoffs, and immediately, this was before the Warriors ever won a championship, I think so it must have been what year would it have been?
13, 14?
Yeah, something like that. And the Clippers just, right away, they became probably one of the better favorites. And then I think Chris Paul immediately got hurt after that. So for a point guard that statistically is up there, accolades are all there. One of the best ball distributors, finishers for a point guard that really couldn't dunk or wasn't like super like athletic in terms of vertical wise. He will go down definitely as a top 5 point guard, in my personal opinion. Dawson, we'll start with you just because Hunter has probably more of a personal connection as a probably one of the no, probably the biggest Chris Paul fan that I know. But what are your thoughts on Chris Paul as his career comes to a close here at the end of the season, and where does he kind of rank up there for you?
Yeah, it sucks because like these last few years of Chris Paul, like last year he was not like an outlier year, but that Golden State year was pretty nasty in my opinion. And then that last year with the Suns, this the whole drama that the Suns had that year. And then this season, like the Clippers are just an absolute mess. I think if the Clippers are just not doing well around the trade deadline, I think you got to do him right and like cut him and see if he truly wants to win a title. Like, how cool would it be if we're sitting here in February and the Thunder are still rattling off wins and the Clippers buy him out and he's able to help the Thunder go back to back and Thunder end up winning 2 in a row. He ends up getting a ring. I think that'd be A+ storyline. But no, when looking at his career, it's like you watched a guy that for so long was point guard 1 in the NBA, like true point guard. Led the league in assists, I think 5 times throughout his career. Led the league in steals 6 times in his career, which is pretty underrated. Part of his game that I don't think a lot of people talk about. And then just the impact that he had with so many organizations, like obviously Hornets basketball in the late 2010s or the late 2000s. He really put them on the map, him, David West, and that whole crew. Then he gets traded to the Clippers. Lob City era's formed. Some of the most exciting time for Clippers fans that they've had up until Kawhi and Paul George. But even then, I think Clippers fans would argue that era of Chris Paul, Blake Griffin, DeAndre Jordan was a more exciting, more fun era, and a more successful era, if that makes sense. Then the Houston years, I mean, they were one game away from the NBA Finals. Like they had Game 7 on their home court. The infamous, they missed 27 threes in a row or whatever it was, something like that in Game 7. Weren't able to get it done. And then the Phoenix years, they were in the finals. I mean, they were up 2-0 against the Bucks. Like they had them by the ropes, and then it wasn't really a Suns meltdown per se, but the Bucks just came back and won 4 straight and won the title. I mean, he had a lot of opportunities to win a chip as a top 2, top 3 player on his team. And it sucks because I think the fans now aren't going to remember his days with the Clippers. Like if you're younger than like our age, because like all a lot of people know him for is like 1 year with the Thunder, couple years with the Suns, and then the last few years of him bounce between the Warriors, Spurs, and Clippers. But man, Chris Paul in his heyday was one of the top 3 players in the league, I would argue, in the early 2010s. Yep. Like him, LeBron, Kobe, or Dirk. Like I don't know. He's certainly up there when it comes to that conversation, but I don't know if I have him as the best point guard of all time. I think personally Curry has that, but different definitions of point guard. And I think when you're talking true point guards, it's him and Isaiah Thomas. And honestly, you could convince me either one on any given day. But Chris Paul was just so fun to watch growing up. And it's a real shame that this is the season that we're going to see him go out on. So.
Yeah, man, it's tough. Yeah, like Brock mentioned, Chris Paul probably, probably one of definitely my favorite point guard like of all time. I don't think, kind of similar to Dawson, I'll skip to it a little bit, but I don't have him as like my overall best point guard, but in terms of being like a true point guard, he's definitely number 1 in my books. But yeah, especially like even as I got into basketball, Chris Paul was my favorite player then. I that was all the way back to him being a Hornet. But it's like, man, like he, I mean, heck, he was one of they got a veto trade, or trade vetoed, I guess. I'm sure Chase has a lot of thoughts on that too. But yeah, man, especially like with his time in New Orleans and his time, first time with the Clippers, it was something special to witness and what he was doing. Something I never actually realized. He obviously never finished as an MVP, but he had, looks like 2 years in his first 4 seasons. 2 of those years in 07 and 08 NBA seasons was top 5 in MVP. Then rattled off between his last season in New Orleans and 5 straight seasons of top. Well, actually, yeah, 5 straight seasons in LA with some top 5 MVP votes, but overall top 10. And something that I actually never even knew, that's kind of wild. His 1 year in OKC and his first 2 years in Phoenix, he was also top 10 in MVP votes, which is kind of crazy. That just shows like the overall impact that he has brought to a team, really always, except for, like Dawson said, this year, and even that one really, really disgusting year in Golden State.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think something too that's absolutely wild is, when you look at, he's 40 now. So last year when he was with the Spurs, what about 39? But he played all 82 games as a 39-year-old. And especially when we just got done talking about availability being the best ability, it's like, man, when you're 39 years old and you play an entire NBA season, like that's impressive. The way he's been able to get it done, the way he's been able to impact teams on both sides of the floor as the point god, as people know him as, has been really cool to watch. And I may cheer for the team that is most responsible for him not winning an NBA title. But nonetheless, like I have a lot of respect for Chris Paul, even in the times that I've talked down on him during that series and his time in Phoenix. He's been always really, really fun to watch. And overall, like, I think, in my opinion, he's definitely had some not scuffles per se, but some disagreements with a lot of players in the NBA. But I think overall, from years from now, will probably still be a very, very respected guy in the NBA community as a whole. So,
for sure, he's definitely one of my favorite players of all time. Definitely one of my favorite 2K players to play as well. People love starting franchises with Chris Paul as the center point, as a point guard for that franchise of whatever team I picked. We'll see what happens if he ends up getting cut, like Dawson said. I don't know. I don't give off the vibes that Chris Paul really cares anymore about winning a chance. Like, I think he does care, but doesn't, if that makes sense. Like, I think he has that closure of not winning one ever. But, that's also like, that's assuming that if you tell Tom Brady that we have this roster where every position is either number 1 or number 2, that player is either number 1 or number 2 in that position, and we'll give you a contract, would you do that? I doubt that Tom Brady would say no, kind of thing. So it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, I do think he has the little bit of closure of like, if he doesn't win one, it is what it is. That's part of the game. It shows you how hard it is to win a championship in the NBA. But at the same time, like, I wouldn't be shocked if they cut him with the intentions of him signing somewhere to where he could go and compete for a championship.
I just think it would be such a storybook ending. Like him going to OKC the first time and helping Shea become the player that Shea has now become, winning the MVP, winning the finals MVP, like being one of the top 3 players in the league. I think that'd be one of the cooler full circle moments I think we've ever had in the NBA. If that happens, if this hypothetical actually.
It would be a cool hypothetical. He got cut and signed with the Pelicans and led them to an NBA championship.
That would maybe make him the GOAT. I'm not going to lie. That would be some real consideration for GOAT talk.
Pelicans are about to win their 3rd game of the year. They're up by 11 with the minute.
Hey, that's 2 more than the Wizards.
Yeah. It's going to be 3 more than the Wizards. 2 more. 3 times as many as the Wizards. But yeah.
Oof.
But what's new with the Wizards? They're just...
The Wizard's going to wizard. That's all I'm going to say.
The Wizards and the Browns are the same team. I swear they just put on different uniforms.
Dude, why did we exile Chris Middleton to Washington? I can't get over this.
I don't think he's that mad. I'm gonna be honest. He's getting paid like what, 30 or 40 million bucks just to.
He's got a championship. He's
not
happy.
play basketball with his best friend, man. But anyway, that's
Bobby Portis.
Okay. Well, anyway,
it's not Bobby Bucket. It's Bobby Buck because he ain't getting no buckets right now.
Oh, I don't want to be Bobby Buck even anymore. But anyway.
Speaking of the Eastern Conference, I think I just saw something that the Pistons broke their team record for like consecutive wins in a row, which, damn, as someone that picked JV Bickerstaff as the potential coach of the year, is looking really good for someone like me. But honestly, though, this team is really fun to watch, and I never really thought that they would like be, an elite team this year, but I definitely thought they were going to be good enough to where he would win coach of the year. So I was guessing top 3 of the Eastern Conference, but I did. What are they? They're 15-2 right now. Cade Cunningham is averaging 27 points, almost 10 assists. Their supporting cast is playing really well. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people averaging more than between 10 and 15 points a game, and 2 people over 20. Like, is this team legit, or is this one of those like catching lightning in a bottle situations, and you guys expect this to fizzle out later on?
If it's a JB Bickerstaff-led team, it's a lightning in the bottle, dude. They're gonna get, dude. As someone who watched JB coach his basketball team for I think 4 or 5 seasons, just give it to the playoffs. Something goofy will happen, and not preying on their downfall.
Oh no, you are.
But low key preying on their downfall.
You might be preying on the downfall more than me right now. That's crazy.
They just have some like kind of the underrated move of the offseason was Duncan Robinson going.
Duncan Robinson is playing good basketball.
He is, dude. He's playing like really good basketball. 13 points a game almost, shooting 44% from 3. Like, could you not ask for a better Duncan Robinson season? Like, that's like picture perfect if you're a Pistons fan. And they've had production from everyone, it feels like. Like, Tobias Harris has only played 7 games, so it's like, oh, that sucks. But it's like, Jaden Ivey's only played a game, but Karis LeVert's playing some games. Ron Holland's giving him minutes. Javonte Green's giving him minutes. Like, they have all these guys on this roster that are able to give them solid rotational minutes. And you mentioned how many, like, their point spread for a lot of their players, but they've had a lot of just good real players that have helped them out when they're, like, when Jaden Ivey's only played a game this year, and Tobias, and guys are really big for him last year. It's pretty impressive to see that they're 15-2, and what was the stat you said? It's the longest winning streak in franchise history.
Yep,
that's kind of crazy considering how dominant some of the Pistons teams in the past.
Well, let me confirm that.
Like, but even if it's like tied for first or tied for second, like
it's a tie. Yeah,
but like.
Okay.
Those early 2000s Pistons team was with Ben Wallace, Rasheed Wallace, Rip Hamilton, Chauncey. Like, that was a really good team. Obviously, the Pistons teams in the late 80s with Isaiah, Dumars, Bill Laimbeer, Rick Mahorn, Mark Aguirre. Like, those teams are really good. So, kudos to this team for playing good basketball. But I will warn you guys that this will all fizzle out in the end. And I will be sitting. Maybe the Cavs get swept in the first round too. But I will also say I called it, that these JB Bickerstaff-led teams tend to struggle when it matters most. As Jared Allen once said, the lights were brighter than expected.
The lights were brighter than expected.
But that's happened multiple times for Jared Allen, so I'm starting to wonder if it's JB Bickerstaff or it's a Jared Allen problem.
Well, we'll get to that when we get to the trade deadline. I don't know about that,
but no, hey. There's a reason that my conference final, my coach of the year pick does not line up with my conference finals pick with the Eastern Conference, because I have the Magic and the Knicks in the conference finals. Granted, that's going to take a lot for that to happen right now, but it means I kind of agree with you with the JB Bickerstaff situation. So we'll see. But hey, Cade Cunningham is having an unbelievable season. And I feel like he's one of those players where, when you come into a franchise as the number one overall pick, you're having a lot of expectations. And you look at his numbers, he's been consistently really good. The last 2 years, he's taken 2 big jumps. But like, I feel like the jumps that he's been taking have been gone like unnoticed almost, just because of everything else going on in the NBA. And now, because of the season the Pistons are having, Cade Cunningham is really getting the nod that I feel like he should have been receiving a long time ago.
Yeah. I think the most like eye-opening stat for me with Cade, I mean, really has been with his assists. Like he was a good passer even in college, but especially for a guy who is just really talented at scoring the ball, even if it is sometimes on 34 missed shots or so. Like he has been able to get it. I mean, it also has to do with his team just performing really, really well, but to be able to average almost it is 10 assists. It's 9.9. We're going to call that 10. He's averaging a double in my books. But I think the other thing too is it's hard, it obviously all kind of does boil down to Cade playing the way that he is. But I mean, when you have even Jalen Duren, a legitimate most improved player candidate this season, averaging 20 a game, I think last season probably was, I'm going to guess like just shy of 15. Double check on that. Oh my gosh, I couldn't read ESPN's stats. So he was averaging 12 a game last season. He was averaging 20 now. And he's still only 22 years old, which is crazy. But yeah, I mean, that, and the thing that I think is most eye-opening for me, and is something that Dawson even mentioned too, is like they're doing this at not like their full strength. I mean, obviously Cade's missed a few games. Jalen Duren's missed a few games, like a couple of games really, but Jaden Ivey finally just played his first game. Karis LeVert not only has not played all in the games, but really has just not been that great this year for the Pistons in general. Tobias Harris obviously being out, but we all know my opinions on Tobias Harris. But they're doing this when they're not even expected to be doing it. Even when the Eastern Conference is on the weaker side, like they're still able to win games, which when you're able to find ways to win games like that is the biggest thing. Like when things are stacked up against you, they're able to do it. But yeah, like both you guys have mentioned, do I think this will last the entire season? Do I think they're on, this 60 and 22 season? I'd be shocked. But there is a world where they could legitimately finish as the best team in the Eastern Conference at the very least.
It's a good season it's a good season to be having this run.
Exactly, yeah. To be honest, even maybe Dawson Hard disagrees with me. I still think the Cavs are going to end up finishing best. I'll be honest. I have hope in them.
Yeah, my hot take of the Magic when getting the first seed is not aged like milk. If that makes sense.
They're above 500.
Yeah, but yeah, but that's all I need to say. Yeah,
that's true. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true.
I mean, but I picked the Knicks to win the championship, so
dude, I had them in the finals too. It's okay. We all have bad takes this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should see my NFL power rankings every week, Hunter.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah. I do. Don't worry.
Did my number one team lose again this week?
No, because I think you had the Rams, so I think you dodged it.
Thank God. I had like 4 straight weeks, Hunter, where the number one team in my power rankings lost.
Let me see.
It's your fault the Packers are not as good.
No, I haven't been putting the Packers in my power rankings at all. I've been refusing.
Not gonna lie, Hunter, I've been the Packers guy on the pod, and every time I try to put them in there, they lose. Like they lost the Browns the week I had them number one. The week I snuck them back in, they lost to the Panthers.
And I clowned him for that.
Yeah, you had the Rams last week. So
sweet. I got to figure out what my number 5 team is. But next week for us, because it'll be the end of the first like full month of NBA basketball, we'll do our first power rankings of the NBA, as well as we'll do a player of the week, Do we want to do both Eastern and Western Conference or Player of the Month? We'll do a Player of the Month and then a Rookie of the Month, and then I don't know. Is there any other things that we wanted to touch on with that? Sweet. We'll do that to recap the first full month of NBA basketball. There's some good games this week. I know the NBA has been trying to promote this Black Friday deal. I think there were, I'm going to pull up here the schedule here, 2 big games, at least promotion wise. Mavericks and Lakers is one of the games that they're promoting. Storyline wise, yes. I mean, I get why they're trying to promote that. What was the other one? Bucks and Knicks, which we'll see how that basketball. One goes.
You want to know the best one that day? Spurs Nuggets.
Nuggets, but Wemby's out.
Cleveland Atlanta could be good.
Detroit Orlando. I still think Orlando.
Yeah. Guys,
Washington and Indy.
There we go.
That's huge. That's a big game. Somebody has to win. Or do we get the first tie in modern basketball?
Adam Silver's like,
it's like, right, guys, it's tied at the end of the fourth quarter, and they just go, no.
Just call it. Nobody wants to be here, guys.
The refs leave. The refs leave.
We don't want to watch 5 more minutes
Adam
of this.
Silver calls them the guys. There's 4 people watching this game.
The players were sitting there ready for the tip in overtime, and they just turned the arena lights off.
There are more janitors watching this game than there are actual fans. Please shut the lights off.
Right now.
Kings Jazz. We start out Kings Jazz.
Memphis and LA. 2 teams we're all really high on after this episode of Hardwood Convos.
Yeah, I mean that must be the game to watch really after the conversations we've had. But yeah, this was kind of a fill-in episode just to get back in the groove of things. We'll be back next week for sure to give more breakdown on the first full month of the NBA season, as well as any other headlines that happen between now and next week. Happy Thanksgiving, guys. Hopefully the tradition, I guess, of Detroit losing on Thursday usually keeps up. For Hunter's sake, I guess.
Come on.
Me personally, I just need good football. That's all I care about, and good food, as well as some good basketball. There's going to be some good games this week, so make sure to tune into those, both NBA and college-wise. Feast week, college basketball is one of the best weeks in all of sports. So for Hunter Rose and Dawson Livingston, I'm Brock Bierman. We are the Hardwood Convos crew. Thank you for supporting us. Make sure to like, subscribe, and listen to our other shows, and we will see you next week.